The Flash ran faster than ever before, and time itself screamed. A single mistake tore open the multiverse, and reality began to collapse. From the cracks of space, Iron Man saw worlds collide and chaos born. Deadpool thought it was a joke, until Gotham vanished in red lightning. Darkseid watched, smiling. His moment had finally come. Earth was no longer alone. Every universe was bleeding into one. Heroes became enemies. Enemies became gods. And in the center of it all, the Flash ran again to undo what he started. The sky over Central City was wrong. Electric red veins pulsed across the clouds. The skyline trembled with a silent hum, like the universe itself was holding its breath. Barry Allen knew instantly. He'd gone too far. One run, one mission, one mistake. He had pushed into the speed force beyond its limit, chasing a moment, a memory, a life he thought he could save. But he didn't just pierce time, he cracked it. And now he could feel it. Time was bleeding, space was folding, and the multiverse was screaming. Tony Stark felt it too, halfway across another world. At first, he thought it was just another quantum anomaly, something Bruce would nerd out over. But this was different. Stark's satellites started showing mirrored cityscapes appearing midair. Shadows of Gotham flickering over Manhattan. Stark Tower glitching, its reflection shifting into a Wayne Tech logo. He didn't say anything to the Avengers yet. Not Thor, not Cap, not even the new guy with the claws who still smelled like Canada. But deep down, Tony had a sick feeling in his gut, the kind he only got when timelines got messy. Last time, it was Ultron. This time, it was something worse. And then Deadpool showed up. Not through a door, not through a phone call. He literally blinked into Stark's lab, covered in blood, holding 2 chimichangas and a flash ring. He dropped them both on the floor and said, "Okay, either I'm high, or I just saw Batman slap Loki with a batarang made of kryptonite." Tony froze. "I'm sorry," he said. "What did you just say?" "Yeah," Wade grinned, spinning in a lab chair. "I'm in the wrong universe. Again. Might have blown up a speedster on the way in. Name rhymes with Harry." Tony activated every multiversal scan he had. The readings were off the charts. And that's when the tear opened. Right above New York, a glowing rift, wide as a city block, spiraling with crimson lightning and fractured time. Through it, Tony saw flashes. The bat signal flickering behind a broken Stark Tower. Captain America's shield lying beside Wonder Woman's sword. And in the center, a silhouette stepped forward, massive, armored, with burning eyes. Tony didn't need an introduction. That face had haunted alien records. Lex Luthor's encrypted files. Even Thor had whispered the name once, after a battle on the edge of Yggdrasil. Darkseid, the god of tyranny. The one being not bound by the laws of one universe, or even one timeline. He had waited, watching cracks in the walls between realities. And now, thanks to the Flash, the door had opened. Permanently, Barry crashed into the lab seconds later, bruised and breathless. "You don't understand," he gasped. "I broke the speed force. I didn't mean to. I was trying to fix something. I didn't know this would happen." Deadpool, now eating popcorn, said, "Welcome to the Oops, I Broke Reality Club, buddy. Membership comes with a multiverse-ending crisis and occasional brain bleeds." Tony wasn't laughing. "We need help. I don't care if it's gods, mutants, or men with issues and capes. Because if that thing comes through fully, we're done." But it was already too late. In Gotham, the Batcave monitors glitched with alien script. In Wakanda, Shuri picked up vibranium shifts synced with phantom echoes from another world. In space, the Green Lantern Corps lost contact with 2 sectors, swallowed whole by something ancient. Darkseid wasn't coming. He was already here. He walked through the rift like it was nothing, not invading, just claiming. Reality bent around him. Buildings folded like origami. Heroes collapsed from vertigo. Iron Man launched his suit instantly. Deadpool grabbed a pair of swords laced with tech he probably stole from Cable. And the Flash stood still. Barry could see it, every outcome, every thread, every broken universe. And in all of them, Darkseid won. Every single time. Unless the impossible happened. Barry looked at Tony. You can build anything, right? Depends what we're trying to kill. Not kill, Barry said. Seal. I need a cage for the Speed Force. You help me trap it. I stop running. Tony stared at him. You stop running, and what happens to you? Barry's silence said everything. Deadpool, chewing gum now, shrugged. Guess we're doing this. Multiverse-shattering emotional sacrifice arc? I'm in. Lightning cracked again. Darkseid raised one hand, and the Avengers fell from the sky. Thor slammed into rubble. Captain Marvel flickered. Hulk roared, but his punch bounced off Darkseid like a feather. This wasn't a fight. It was a demonstration. Darkseid wasn't here to win. He was here to show that he already had. And then something changed. A second tier opened. A new figure emerged. Black suit, glowing green aura, a symbol that didn't belong to any world. It wasn't a Kryptonian. It wasn't a mutant. It was someone from between. John Stewart, a Green Lantern, reborn with multiversal energy, his ring recharged by the collapsing realities. He blasted Darkseid, just enough to slow him, just enough to make him look. That was the window Barry needed. He looked at Tony. Now. And they ran. Not into battle, not toward Darkseid, but back into the Speed Force. Because the only way to save the multiverse was to break it one more time. Smoke coiled through the fractured skies of New York. Stark Tower had collapsed into itself, its core warped by dimensional energy. The Avengers were scattered, beaten, dazed, disoriented. Darkseid wasn't just winning. He was rewriting the rules. But beneath the city, hidden below the chaos, a plan was taking shape. Tony Stark had relocated to a secured underground bunker, not built for humans, but for gods. Deadpool called it Avengers, Basement Edition. Barry just called it a temporary fix. Time was folding in on itself. Every second in this world aged another in the next. If they didn't act now, this universe, every universe, would collapse into a single point. A singularity ruled by one being. Tony stood in front of a flickering console, face lit by a multiverse map that pulsed like a dying heartbeat. Barry paced, lightning sparking at his feet. Deadpool was doing backflips off a refrigerator someone definitely didn't install. We need more help, Barry said. You saw what he did to Thor. What happens when he finds Superman? Or worse, someone like Wanda? Tony didn't look away from the screen. I already sent a signal. A multiversal pulse. Coordinates encrypted. Barry raised an eyebrow. To who? And that's when the shadows shifted. A figure emerged from the edge of the room. Calm, calculated. Every step deliberate. Tactical boots, obsidian armor, and a cape that didn't flutter. It moved like it commanded the air itself. Batman. He didn't speak, just tossed a device onto the table. A mother box modified, half Kryptonian, half Stark tech. It pulsed like a heart and screamed like a machine, trying not to. Tony blinked. Let me guess. You stole that. Batman's silence was answer enough. Great, Tony muttered. Now we're doing DC Tech bootlegs. Barry stepped forward. Bruce, we need a plan. I already have one, Batman said. And it requires chaos. Cue Deadpool, spinning in a chair. Did someone say my name but sexier? Batman turned slowly. His eyes scanned Wade like a surgeon analyzing a tumor, unsure if it was worth removing or letting it destroy itself. You're unpredictable, Batman said. Deadpool clapped. Best compliment I've had since Cable called me a chronically unstable meat clown. What's the play, Bats? We draw him in, Batman continued. Darkseid doesn't chase power. He waits for it to collapse. We collapse it first. Break the universes in a controlled chain reaction. Detonate the fault lines he's using to anchor himself. Tony crossed his arms. You want to blow up time? Barry's voice cracked. We're already running out of it. Before anyone could argue, the bunker shook. Not a tremor, a message. A deep, cosmic knock. Across every screen in the lab, a face appeared, carved from shadow, eyes burning red. Darkseid. I see you, he said, his voice layered with echoes of 1,000 dying worlds. Even now, you cling to your delusions. But the age of resistance is over. You cannot win. You never could. Barry's hands trembled. Batman stared unblinking. Deadpool sipped a juice box. Tony leaned forward. If you can see us, you know what we're building. So come stop us. The screens went black. They had his attention. Hours later, or maybe seconds, time was loose here. The safe house was alive with multiversal tech. Stark fused his arc reactor with a sliver of kryptonite Bruce had acquired. Barry modified a time displacement engine with speed force energy. And Deadpool installed the disco ball. We need someone who understands the cracks, Batman said. Someone who's been broken by them. The room went cold. There was only one name, Moon Knight. 3 timelines over. In a reality where Egypt ruled the stars, Mark Spector was locked in combat with himself. The gods inside him, Khonshu, Jake, Stephen, were fighting for control as the world around them bled away. And then he felt it, a pull. He didn't question it. He never did. When he arrived, still bathed in divine light, Batman simply nodded. You see the fractures? Moon Knight's eyes glowed white. I live in them. With Mark added, the team was complete. A billionaire genius, a time-breaking speedster, a fourth wall-breaking assassin, a vengeance-fueled detective, and a lunatic avatar of a god. The most chaotic alliance in multiversal history. Deadpool dubbed them the Unfixables. Their first target, Nexus Point Zeta, a convergence site hidden inside the ruins of Atlantis, where timelines converged like arteries. If they could detonate a time anchor there, it would force the multiverse to collapse in a controlled wave, something even Darkseid couldn't ride. They arrived through fractured portals. The ocean above had frozen mid-crash. Fish floated in the air. Time was shattered here, flowing sideways. And waiting at the center, not parademons, not gods, Superman. But he wasn't here to save them. His suit was black, his eyes dim. Darkseid had touched his mind. You don't belong here, Clark said. His voice, like thunder, dragged through regret. Barry stepped forward. Clark, it's me. I was me, Superman said. Before I saw what you did, what you broke, he attacked without hesitation. Laser vision burned across coral ruins. Deadpool screamed. Why is it always the laser eyes? Moon Knight blocked a strike with an enchanted crescent blade. Batman lunged from the shadows. And Tony just stared. Guess we're doing this. He launched a pulse beam straight into Kal-El's chest, a fusion of vibranium and multiversal frequency. It didn't stop him, but it made him pause. Clark, listen to me. Barry shouted. You can feel it, can't you? This isn't your world. It's not mine either, but we can still fix it. Superman hovered in silence. Deadpool appeared behind him, holding up a glitter-covered sign. Hug it out. Superman sighed and vanished. Not ran, not flew, just blinked out, like reality erased him. The team stood stunned. What just happened? Tony asked. Moon Knight knelt. We're out of time. Barry felt the hum behind him. Another tear, bigger, angrier. Darkseid was coming, and this time he wasn't alone. The sky didn't crack this time. It collapsed. Reality folded like a dying star as Darkseid stepped through the tear, not a portal, but a wound in the multiverse itself. Space bent around him. Oceans parted. Gravity knelt. Even time took a breath. He wasn't invading. He was arriving. Deadpool fell silent for the first time in hours. Batman gripped a detonator in his gauntlet like it was a heartbeat. Stark's new armor hummed with unstable multiversal energy, stitched together by desperation and bad decisions. Barry could barely keep his molecules from vibrating apart. And Moon Knight whispered a prayer, not to Khonshu, not to any god that still answered, but to balance, the one force Darkseid had come to destroy. He walked across the ruins of Atlantis without a word, his Omega symbol glowing, casting shadows longer than the ocean trenches themselves. Parademons swarmed through the breach behind him, but they weren't soldiers anymore. They were fusions, half AI, infected by fragments of Ultron and Lex Luthor's corrupted code. Mechanical wings, red eyes, screens coded in binary. The multiverse hadn't just bent, it had been rewritten. Darkseid had rewritten it. "Don't say it," Tony muttered. Deadpool coughed. "Say what?" "Don't say we can win. Don't say we've got this. Just don't." No one moved until Barry vanished. In a blink, he launched into the Speed Force, trying to pull Darkseid's arrival back by minutes, even seconds. But he slammed into a wall of silence, a stop. The Speed Force was fractured, redirected. Every step he took folded him back into the same moment. He was trapped in now. Darkseid raised one hand. The ground beneath them erased. Not exploded, not burned, just ceased to exist. Batman fired the first shot, an EMP laced with compressed motherbox energy. It hit. It flickered. It failed. Darkseid didn't even flinch. Tony soared in, repulsors blazing, shouting coordinates to Moon Knight and Wade. "Hit him high, draw him left. Activate the collapse field when I say the word." But Moon Knight was already airborne, wings of light pushing against the pull of the void. Deadpool dual-wielded plasma blades, yelling, "Somebody cue the epic soundtrack. I want drums and screaming violins." They hit Darkseid like an earthquake, tech, chaos, and pure vengeance. And for a second, he moved. Just one step. And then he laughed. It was deep, patient, unshaken. "You fight with noise," Darkseid said. "But I am silence. I am the end of noise." He fired his Omega beams. One struck Moon Knight midair, burning through dimensions. He vanished with a flicker of white. Barry screamed. No. The second beam curved mid-space, bending around Deadpool's blades and catching him mid-jump. He was vaporized, but not erased. Pieces of him scattered through timelines like shrapnel. Tony launched the multiversal cannon. It struck Darkseid square in the chest, a point-blank fusion of arc reactor power and Speed Force radiation. It shattered reality for a heartbeat. And then it shattered Tony. The armor split. The man inside dropped. Not dead, but out. Barry caught him before he hit the void. And then there were two. Flash, Batman, the old guard, the silent plan. Bruce activated the final failsafe, the collapse engine, a chain reaction built to implode Nexus Point Zeta, sever the connection to the fractured timelines, and bury Darkseid inside a sealed pocket of dead space. But it needed one thing: speed. Barry looked at him. "I'll run," he said, voice low. "You won't come back," Bruce answered. "I broke this. I have to end it." No, Bruce handed him something. A worn photo, Barry's mother smiling. "You don't run for guilt. You run for her." Barry nodded once. He turned. And then he ran. Faster than light. Faster than thought. The ground peeled away. The sea reversed. The stars trembled. He carried the collapse code through the Speed Force, dragging its energy across every broken thread, pulling reality into a single final motion. Darkseid turned. He felt it. He reached for it. And then, boom, a shockwave detonated across the sea. The Nexus imploded. The gate collapsed. Darkseid was pulled backward, claws scraping space itself. The multiverse screamed. He roared, not in fear but rage. Not because he was dying, but because he was being denied. Flash didn't stop. He ran through the core, every cell burning, every step erasing part of himself. But he smiled. One life, one chance, one final run. Then everything went white. Silence, stillness, nothing. And then breath. Somewhere, somehow, Bruce Wayne opened his eyes. He was alone. The ruins were gone. The breach was sealed. The timeline was still, but not empty. A ripple of red lightning shimmered across the horizon. A sign, a memory, a promise. Barry Allen was gone, but he had saved them all. The world didn't celebrate. It just kept spinning. There were no fireworks, no parades, just clouds rolling over a sky that had almost been torn in half. The multiverse had been saved, but the cost had left everything hollow. Barry Allen was gone. Flash had become myth in real time. Bruce Wayne stood on the edge of the crater where Nexus Point Zeta had once been. No portal, no breach, just silence and dust. A faint trail of red lightning shimmered across the ground and vanished. Tony's rebuilt armor clicked beside him, powered down, chest plate cracked, his eyes heavier than ever. It held. Tony said, "You were right. The collapse engine worked." Bruce didn't answer. He just stared into the fog. But peace never lasts. A rip opened again. Not as loud, not as wide. This one subtle, controlled. The energy pulsing from it wasn't Darkseid's rage. It was colder, sharper, intelligent. From the shimmer stepped a figure in black and silver, surrounded by a glow of ancient magic and broken technology. Her name was Clea, sorcerer supreme of a ruined dimension. She had seen what came after Barry's sacrifice. "You closed the door," she said. But something else found a crack. Tony tensed. Darkseid. No. Worse. Someone who watched the fight, took notes, learned. Bruce narrowed his eyes. Who? A voice answered from behind. Victor Von Doom. He stepped through the tear like a king walking into his throne room. Not hiding, not attacking, just observing. His armor hummed with multiversal energy. At his side floated a fragment of a mother box, stitched with vibranium and laced with chaos magic. "I came to offer a solution," Doom said. "The multiverse is still unstable." The flash delayed the collapse. He didn't stop it. Tony scoffed. "Of course you show up now. When it's safe." Doom didn't flinch. "There's no safety. Not anymore. Just strategy." He extended his hand, not to shake, but to show. In his palm hovered a sphere. Inside it spun echoes of realities, Earths colliding, timelines blinking, versions of heroes screaming before they vanished. "This is the cost of hesitation," Doom said. "You need control, not chaos." Bruce stepped forward. "And you want to be the one holding the leash." "I already am," Doom replied. "I've sealed 3 realities, saved billions." "What have you done?" "Buried gods." Before Tony could fire, a wave of force knocked them all back. Clea raised her hand, not casting, but shielding. He's not alone. Portals bloomed behind Doom, dozens. From each step versions of heroes twisted into loyalty. A Thor who had merged with Hela. A Spider-Man bonded with Null. A Captain Marvel who had absorbed the Phoenix Force. This wasn't a new war. This was a takeover. Doom didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "I don't want to rule your Earth," he said. "I want to preserve it. On my terms." Bruce reached for a hidden trigger. Tony's suit started recharging. But then, another portal opened. One no one expected. From it stepped someone wearing red. Boots burned from friction. Eyes glowing. Voice calm. "I don't like being erased," said Barry Allen. He wasn't dead. He was reborn. And behind him, a shadow stepped out, sharp, quiet, cloaked in moonlight and purpose. T'Challa, the Black Panther. Doom's expression shifted for the first time. This fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. The air shifted the moment Barry stepped forward. This wasn't the same Flash who had run himself out of existence. This Barry had seen time unravel, had raced through dying realities, and come back with lightning in his blood and silence in his soul. Beside him, the Black Panther walked with silent power. Not the man from before. This T'Challa had risen through ancestral planes, fractured by multiversal echoes. He had fought gods who had no names and returned with purpose. Dr. Doom's legion braced for impact. The twisted Thor raised his axe. The Phoenix-infused Captain Marvel floated like a dying star. Spider-Null hissed. Barry didn't flinch. "Let's end this." He vanished into motion, a flash of red ripping across the field. In less than a second, Thor's hammer was gone, Spider-Null was tangled in his own symbiote, and the Phoenix was encased in a collapsing time loop, stuck reliving her last thought again and again. T'Challa moved through the chaos like shadow incarnate. Every strike was precise, every motion poetry. He wasn't here to fight for Earth. He was here to protect all of them. Doom raised his hands, drawing power from his fractured multiversal core. "I offered peace," he growled. Barry spun around him in a vortex of pure speed force. "You offer control. You'd rather chaos?" "No," T'Challa answered. "We'd rather freedom." Doom unleashed a blast of power that tore through the battlefield, splitting timelines open like glass. Through the cracks, alternate versions of Barry blinked into existence, screaming, running, dying, echoes of the runs he'd never taken. Doom used them all as anchors, chaining this Barry in place with infinite regret. "You carry guilt," Doom said. "Let me take it." Barry screamed. The chains dug in. But then he remembered the photo. His mother, smiling, whole, not gone, not forgotten. He closed his eyes and ran. Not through space, not through time, through himself. He shattered the chains. The speed force exploded outward, burning through Doom's stolen code, resetting every corrupted echo. The sky roared. Doom staggered, and Chala was already in front of him. One punch, one vibranium strike pulsing with the heartbeat of all Wakandan kings before him. Doom fell. His armor cracked. His power flickered. Barry stood over him, Chala at his side. And then silence. Clea sealed the fractures with a wave of her hand, reciting words never meant for mortals. The portals vanished. The twisted heroes dissolved into memory. The multiverse held. Tony, battered but breathing, limped to their side. "You know," he said, "for a dead guy, you have excellent timing." Barry smiled. "Had to run a few wrong endings to get here." Chala nodded. "But we're here now, and this time it stays whole." Bruce stepped from the shadows. "For now." Barry looked at the sky, red lightning dancing above like whispers from another life. "Then I'll be ready if it cracks again." Tony looked up too. "We all will." A single moment passed. Not of victory, but balance. Across all worlds,